Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to a place and time that, well, it still captures our imaginations, the Library of Alexandria. And we're not just talking about a building full of scrolls. This was a symbol of knowledge and scholarship from centuries ago.
Yeah, exactly. The Library of Alexandria, represents this time and place where knowledge was truly valued. Scholars from across the ancient world would come together, to debate philosophy or maybe unravel the mysteries of math, chart the stars. It was really a beacon of learning in the ancient world.
Okay, so to understand this, let's rewind a bit. We're talking about the Ptolemaic kingdom in the 3rd century BC. What was it that drove these rulers to create such an incredible center of learning?
Well, the Ptolemaic rulers, particularly Ptolemy I, were incredibly ambitious. They envisioned Alexandria as the intellectual capital of the world. And it wasn't just about collecting scrolls. It was about attracting the brightest minds from all over the Mediterranean and fostering this really vibrant intellectual community.
So the library was more than just a storage space for scrolls.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where the Motion comes in. Think of it as a research institution, almost like a modern-day university. Scholars would live and work together there, constantly exchanging ideas and pushing the boundaries of what was known.
That's fascinating. So the library and the Motion, they were really two sides of the same coin, fueling Alexandria's rise as a major intellectual hub.
Exactly. They were interconnected, with the library providing the resources and the Motion providing the intellectual energy that made Alexandria so unique.
But like all great empires and institutions, things change. What happened when the Romans arrived on the scene?
Well, the Roman period, that marked a significant shift for both Alexandria and its famed library. As its political importance within the Roman Empire declined, so too did the prominence of the library.
So even though some Roman emperors, like Claudius, for example, tried to add to the library, it seems that scholarship wasn't really their top priority.
That's right. The Roman Empire, with its focus on practical matters, expansion, didn't quite share the same zeal for pure intellectual pursuits that the Ptolemies had.
And did this shift in priorities have a tangible impact on the Motion as well?
Yes. Interestingly, membership in the Motion was no longer based solely on scholarly achievement. Achievements in government, in the military, even athletics, those became alternative pathways to entry. It really highlights the changing dynamics of power and intellectual pursuits in Roman Alexandria.
So the library and the Motion, once symbols of pure intellectual pursuit, began reflecting the changing priorities of the ruling powers. What a fascinating insight into how knowledge can be both valued and influenced by the forces of power.
Precisely. And this leads us to a figure who really embodies both the brilliance and the vulnerability of intellectual pursuits in a changing world, Hypatia. She lives centuries after the library's founding, but her story is deeply intertwined with Alexandria's intellectual legacy.
Hypatia, you mean a female philosopher, astronomer, and mathematician. It's incredible that a woman in those times could achieve such prominence in intellectual circles.
Her story is both inspiring and tragic. She was a product of Alexandria's rich intellectual tradition. Her father, Theon, was a renowned mathematician himself. He even produced a significant edition of Euclid's Elements, correcting errors that had crept in over centuries of copying, highlighting a real dedication to preserving knowledge.
That's remarkable. It's clear that Hypatia was immersed in this world that valued scholarship and intellectual rigor, but she wasn't simply following in her father's footsteps, was she?
No, not at all. Hypatia went on to become a respected thinker and teacher in her own right, drawing students from all over the Mediterranean world. And what's particularly fascinating is her potential contribution to Ptolemy's Almagest, a cornerstone of ancient astronomy.
So she wasn't just teaching, she was actively contributing to our understanding of the cosmos. I'm guessing this brings us to a darker chapter in Alexandria's story, though.
Right. Yes, unfortunately. Hypatia lived during a time of rising tensions in Alexandria, particularly between the Roman prefect Orestes and Cyril, the city's powerful bishop. And as a close advisor to Orestes, Hypatia, she was caught in the crossfire.
So her connection to Orestes, combined with her outspoken nature and her intellectual prominence, made her a target.
It appears so. The political climate, combined with the religious tensions, it created this dangerous environment for someone like Hypatia. Rumors spread, and she was painted as an obstacle to reconciliation. Sadly, this ultimately led to her tragic demise.
This is where it gets truly heartbreaking. In 415 AD, she was attacked by a Christian mob and brutally murdered. It's a stark reminder that knowledge and those who bear it can become victims of intolerance and political turmoil.
Hypatia's death, it sent shockwaves through Alexandria. It marked a decline in intellectual freedom and served as this chilling reminder of the dangers faced by those who dared to challenge the status quo. It's a tragic echo of the shifting priorities and rising intolerance that had begun to take root in Roman Alexandria.
What a powerful reminder of the fragility of knowledge and intellectual freedom, even in a city once renowned for its pursuit of both. Her story is truly captivating, inspiring, and heartbreaking at the same time.
Hypatia's story, it really, underscores this complex relationship between power, politics, and the pursuit of knowledge. It's a theme that kind of echoes throughout the history of the Library of Alexandria itself.
That's an interesting point. We've talked about this shift in priorities under Roman rule, but what ultimately led to the library's demise? Was it like a single catastrophic event or more of a gradual decline?
It's a question it's fascinated historians for centuries, and there's no single easy answer. The library's decline seems to have been, a combination of factors unfolding over several centuries.
Okay, so a perfect storm of events rather than one singular event, like a fire, for example.
Exactly. Some scholars, they point to a fire in 48 BC during Julius Caesar's campaign in Alexandria, which may have damaged, a portion of the library's collection, but the extent of that damage is still debated today.
So a fire may have played a role, but not the sole cause for the library's disappearance.
Yeah.
What other factors contributed to its decline?
Well, as we discussed, the Roman Empire's priorities, they shifted away from pure scholarship. Funding for the library and the Mautian likely dwindled, as resources were directed towards other endeavors like military expansion or infrastructure projects.
So a classic case of changing priorities leading to the neglect of a once revered institution. But it wasn't just about funding, was it?
No, there were also social and intellectual shifts happening at the time. The rise of Christianity with its, different worldview, it gradually changed the intellectual landscape of Alexandria. The library, once a symbol of diversity and intellectual freedom, it faced increasing pressure to conform to these new doctrines.
So the very essence of what made the library so unique, its openness to different schools of thought and its embrace of diverse perspectives that began to erode under the pressure of a changing society.
Precisely. And you can see how this gradual shift, combined with dwindling resources and political instability, it created the conditions for the library's slow decline.
It's a sobering thought, this magnificent center of knowledge, once a beacon of learning for the entire ancient world, fading away due to this complex interplay of political, social, and intellectual forces. It really makes you think about the fragility of knowledge and the institutions that house it.
It does. And while the physical Library of Alexandria may be lost to us, its legacy, it lives on. Think about the countless texts that were copied and distributed from its collection. These scrolls, carrying the wisdom of ancient philosophers, mathematicians, scientists, they spread throughout the ancient world, influencing scholarship and thought for centuries to come.
So even though the library itself didn't survive, the seeds of knowledge it planted continued to flourish elsewhere.
Exactly. And that brings us to the modern Bibliotheca Alexandrina. It's a testament to the enduring power of the library's legacy. It's this stunning modern structure built near the site of the original library. It was envisioned as a revival of Alexandria's ancient role as a center of knowledge and intercultural dialogue.
The modern Bibliotheca Alexandrina, you say. I'm picturing this gleaming modern building filled with books and scholars from all over the world.
You're not far off. It's a massive complex. It houses a vast collection of books, manuscripts, and digital resources, along with museums, exhibition spaces, and research centers.
Wow, that sounds incredible. So it's not just a symbolic gesture, it's a fully functioning center for learning and research, carrying on the spirit of its ancient predecessor.
Absolutely. The Bibliotheca Alexandrina, it hosts conferences, exhibitions, and educational programs, attracting scholars and visitors from all over the world. It's a place where the past and the present converge, where the legacy of the Library of Alexandria is honored and reimagined for a new era.
What a fitting tribute to a place that once symbolized the pinnacle of human knowledge and intellectual exchange. It's almost as if the spirit of the Library of Alexandria has been rekindled, inspiring these new generations to seek knowledge and understanding. It really is amazing to think that even though the original Library of Alexandria is gone, its legacy continues to inspire us, even today.
It really does. It speaks to the enduring power of knowledge and the human desire to learn and explore. The modern Bibliotheca Alexandrina is a testament to that. But perhaps even more importantly, I think the Library of Alexandria's story, reminds us of some crucial lessons.
Okay, so let's unpack those lessons. What stands out to you as the most significant takeaways from our deep dive into the library's history?
Well, first and foremost, I think the Library of Alexandria, it reminds us that knowledge is precious, but it's also fragile. It requires careful preservation and cultivation. The library's decline, due in part to those shifting priorities and neglect, it underscores the importance of continued investment in education and scholarship.
That's a powerful point. It's easy to take knowledge for granted, especially in our age of instant access to information. But the library's story, it reminds us that knowledge institutions and the scholarship they foster, they require ongoing support and attention.
Absolutely. And secondly, the Library of Alexandria highlights this crucial link between intellectual freedom and the flourishing of knowledge. The library thrived because it embraced, diverse perspectives and encouraged that open inquiry. And its decline, coinciding with rising intolerance and those restrictions on thought, it serves as a cautionary tale.
So a society that stifles debate and restricts access to information ultimately limits its own potential for growth and innovation. The Library of Alexandria's experience certainly seems to support that idea.
Yes, and finally, I think the library's story, it reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge is this ongoing journey, not a destination. The scholars at the Library of Alexandria, they were constantly pushing the boundaries of what was known, challenging those existing ideas, and seeking new discoveries. It's a spirit of inquiry and exploration that we should all embrace.
That's a great point. It's easy to get caught up in this idea of acquiring knowledge as a finite goal.
Yeah.
But the real joy is in the ongoing process of learning, questioning, and discovering. The Library of Alexandria, even in its absence, continues to inspire that spirit of intellectual curiosity and exploration.
Precisely. And that's perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Library of Alexandria, a legacy that extends far beyond its physical walls and transcends time. It's a legacy that lives on in every library, in every classroom, and in every individual who seeks to expand their understanding of the world.
So as we conclude our deep dive into the history of the Library of Alexandria, let's remember these lessons: to cherish and protect knowledge, to champion intellectual freedom, and to embrace that lifelong journey of learning and exploration.
Beautifully said. And for you, our listener, we hope this deep dive has not only informed but inspired you to continue your own journey of discovery. After all, as the Library of Alexandria reminds us, the pursuit of knowledge is this timeless and essential human endeavor.